To help you have an idea of the types of assignments on a weekly basis that you will be working on, each module will be comprised of various assignments. They will all clearly be writing and research based assignments. Everything will have to do with your research interest or issue that you pick, your research phenomenon. And as we go through and learn the research process at this level and learn all of the different steps and strategies that you have to go through to conduct research, the assignments will follow suit. So you'll have different assignments for different things. The majority of each module will be daily and written assignments, and then you'll have your major papers. As we approach the time for these assignments to be due, I will give you full instructions. You'll get a set of instructions for each major assignment. Usually, the assignment instructions are about 10 pages apiece. So you get copious amounts of information, rubrics for all of the assignments so that you know exactly what I'm looking for in terms of grading. So you'll be provided with all of that information as we progress through. I usually try to give you these assignment instructions very early on so that you know what to be looking for and you know how to be preparing as you go through. Some quick academic policies here. 24/7 rule. If you are dissatisfied with a grade on any assignment, you must wait at least 24 hours after receiving the final grade before requesting a grade review. Then you must submit some type of request by email only within 7 calendar days after the assignment has been returned. And so this is serves two purposes really. It gives you time to calm down after receiving a grade if you don't receive a grade that you expect, but it also allows me to ensure that everyone is submitting any type of request contesting a grade within a realistic amount of time. You're not going to submit something the last week of school, the last week of the semester regarding an assignment that was returned to you at the beginning of the semester just because your overall grade may be suffering. So that's something that I follow very stringently here. So make sure to remember that 24/7 rule. All grade discussions must happen by email first. So you have to set up an appointment with me. Then we will meet and discuss, likely via Zoom or in person, any grade. One thing you'll notice with me is that I provide you with copious, specific feedback. So there should not be any questions about anything for which you're docked credit or any points that you may lose on an assignment. You will know, you'll be provided with that information. Late work is not accepted for any reason at all. So that includes module-based assignments. That includes major papers. So if the deadline for any assignment is 11:59 Eastern and it's submitted at 12, or you email me an assignment at 12 or 12:01, it's not going to be accepted. If there are extenuating circumstances, i.e. you're in the hospital, death in the family, something along those lines, that's something that would be considered for alternate arrangements. But otherwise, technology issues, issues with the GA position, work-related issues, etc., will not be accepted. Just want everyone to understand that the expectation is that you cannot procrastinate with any of the assignments in this course. It's just not going to work that way. You get procrastination is just something that's not germane to research. Research is an ongoing process. It's dynamic. It requires you to constantly monitor the process, plan the process, know your content, improve your writing. You have to juggle all of these different things simultaneously. And so it's not something, this is not a class for which you can throw together assignments just because a due date is approaching. And so any issue that results as a product or a consequence of procrastinating, i.e. technology issues, a file being deleted, computer crashing, etc., will not be accepted. So I just want to ensure everyone understands that. I also want everyone to understand that if you are local, if you're near campus, that there are computers available to you. The library has a bank of computers available. Many academic buildings on campus also have banks of computers that you can use by virtue of being a student. And again, you also have technology assistance. Your tuition dollars pay for that assistance. So remember Bulldog Central and Info Technology if you need them. Students with disabilities, if you do have any type of documented disability, i.e. physical, learning, psychiatric, vision, etc., and you need reasonable accommodations, you should first contact the Office of Disability Support Services during the first week of class, if at all possible. Of course, if something is documented or happens thereafter, you can follow the right procedures to document that, and I'll be happy to help. If you do have something you are aware of or something for which you need an accommodation up front, be sure to contact their office. All conversations are completely anonymous. Any accommodations that you may need are shared via their office to me, and I will be happy to do what I can to honor any of those accommodations that will ensure you can do the best you possibly can in the class. So I've provided a link to their website here. If you do need these types of accommodations, do not shy away from tapping into this resource. Sometimes you can get extra time on assignments. Sometimes you can get extra access to notes, different things, depending on what you may need accommodations for. So I encourage everyone who that may apply to take a look at this section, take a look at the Office of Disability Support Services, and let me know if you have any questions. From the first week of class, everyone should have the full schedule, knowing what's going on, and also understanding that this is an online class, but we will meet periodically throughout the class. If there are any specific religious holidays or dates that conflict, or days on which you already know for a fact that you won't be able to meet, or anything of that nature up front, let me know the first week of class, and I will see what we can do to make alternate arrangements there. Class announcements, as we've discussed, will go out via Canvas, which should push an email to your Wingate email. It's very important that you check your Wingate email continuously, or that you forward it to an email that you will check constantly. It's each student's responsibility to keep informed of what's going on via class announcements. So it's important to make sure that you follow up and you read and you plan. And I'll be honest with you. I'll segue this into academic expectations before talking about academic integrity. Word on the street is that I am a rather difficult instructor, and I will go ahead and address that accusation, and I will substantiate it and say that yes, I tend to be challenging in terms of my standards. I have high standards, high expectations for writing, for research content, especially at the graduate level. One thing that everyone needs to realize is that this is a graduate course, and as a product of this course, if you do well, you will be granted graduate credit on a graduate transcript, and that means that the work is going to be vastly different. The expectations are going to be definitely elevated from what you're probably used to in undergraduate. And the best way that I can explain this is by describing the reality of where you all are now. You are now entering the graduate and professional realm. You will be conducting research that is graduate and professional by categorization, which means that the ideas and arguments you exchange and the content you produce will be shared in the realm with PhD candidates, with other master's students, with postdoc students, with faculty members, with professional researchers, professionals in the field. You are now at a level that the writing, the expectations, the content, everything must be congruent despite what level you fall within that range, whether you're a PhD student, whether you're a master's student. You're no longer just a college student. You're considered a graduate and professional student at this point, and researcher by virtue of being in this class. And so I do tend to have high expectations for the work that's submitted. What you'll find is that through the feedback I provide in the class, I give you very specific feedback that many of you may have not yet seen or experienced. And so you're going to see papers that are returned to you with all sorts of copious constructive criticism and feedback and suggestions and marks, which may be daunting to some of you, but just know that all of this is in pursuit of making you better, making you a better thinker, making you a better researcher, making you a better academic. That's the entire point of this class. And so I want you to know that if you dedicate the time and effort necessary to follow the research process and to improve your writing, you won't have a problem in terms of your grading. Think of it this way. I treat grading and editing all of your content the same way that I would when I'm editing for a professional client. It's graded at the same rigor. It's graded with the same standards in mind. And so once you reach that master's or graduate professional level, all of the content is graded based on the same standard. And the point is to bridge that gap between undergrad and grad and to get you to that standard and to get you to where you're comfortable and competent operating at that standard. So a lot of this might be daunting up front. It might be a little apprehensive, or you might be a little nervous about it, but just know that I'm going to work with you. We're going to get there together, and I'm going to provide you with all the resources necessary for you to be successful. The next section of the syllabus here is academic integrity. There's the honor code. I've got some information there. For us, within the context of this particular class, what's most important is plagiarism and documentation of papers. You will learn through this class that we will adhere to a style guide, which are parameters and rules for documenting your papers, for providing adequate credit when you adopt the use of someone's directly quoted material or someone's material through paraphrasing. Most of you all have probably heard of this, through your work at the undergraduate level, but you would be appalled at the rate by which people plagiarize and do not know that they're plagiarizing. In fact, one of the objectives of the class is to focus on adequately utilizing and tapping into our style guide APA to ensure that you're attributing correctly, or what you probably know is citing your sources. One distinction I want to make is that plagiarizing, unintentional plagiarizing, is still not acceptable. You can't plagiarize and claim ignorance and that be deemed acceptable by honor code. It's just something that you have to learn, and that's why this class exists. This course is here to show you, by actively engaging in the process, how you document your sources correctly, adequately, and I find that this course answers a lot of questions and addresses many misconceptions that people have about plagiarizing that they've been taught incorrectly actually over the years. So we will talk more about that, but I would be remiss if I did not point out that it's very important. Documentation is very important. APA and Style Guide is not just a suggestion, it's an absolute requirement at this level. You must adhere to APA style, which also means you must be documenting your sources adequately, sufficiently, and correctly. Finally, I have some points of assistance here. Office hours. I do offer office hours as any other instructor would. By appointment, you just shoot me an email and I will try to meet you at a time that works best for us. I do want to point out that I can meet both virtually or in person, whichever works best for you and is better for your particular learning style. The Academic Resource Center is available. I've got a link here to their website that also houses the Writing Center website. Again, you do have a dedicated resource, the director of the Writing Center, who will work with all graduate students. So it's important to tap into that if you need it. Your academic advisor, so for any MASM students, that's Dr. Christy DeWall. For any other students, Christy DeWall may still be your academic advisor if you're an undergrad student, but if not, just note that you can contact your academic advisor if you need any assistance. Either way, for this class, since it's a graduate course in the MASM program, if you're exhibiting any issues and you need to talk to somebody, Dr. Christy DeWall would be a good resource. Counseling services, this is another resource. If something happens, life happens, personal things happen, we do offer counseling services that are funded by your tuition dollars, so don't let that go without using it if needed. And of course, our Canvas website, you'll find that I constantly share information there via announcements. I post articles, post all sorts of things that will help you as you go through the content. Finally, we have a tentative schedule here. On the right-hand side, I tend to include dates that align with the academic calendar, so add drop dates, dates to resolve and complete, major assignment dates. I've also included our Easter and spring breaks here on the spring schedule. And then what you'll find is that each week has a description of the overall topics that will be discussed and addressed via that module. The readings will always be posted in the actual module. So just note that you'll be able to kind of get an idea for what's to come here and a general idea for planning and scheduling through this schedule. Note that it is it can change at any point in time. Topics, assignments, projected outlines of this entire schedule can change. I will send you notice if it does, but just note that it's not set in stone.